Hey, what's up and hello? This is the Chris Nicole bringing you my views on life, love, and the world of entertainment through my eyes. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending on what time you are watching this live. Hello, crew. Hope all is well. Make sure you hit the like button on the way in. Hey, Yuli. Yes, I did do an actual live on the fire situation. So you can definitely check that out. But yes, myself and my immediate family, we are safe. Physically, as far as, homes and stuff are concerned, but I can't deny that emotionally right now, a lot of us are drained because we can't help but to feel for everyone else who's affected, including pets and everything else. So yeah, so just continue to send positive energy and prayers here because this is going to take a long time for us to heal from this. With that being said, though, to get my mind off of that, um, the final chapter of the curious case of Natalia Grace. I don't know if I'm high on emotions right now because of what's going on right now in LA, amongst other things in my world. But when I tell you it was an emotional roller coaster watching this. It was already an emotional roller coaster watching the first two seasons. But this one, I'm just going to have to be honest, y'all. It was different types of emotions, though. So with that being said, what starts off, there was, I believe, 4 episodes. And we start off with what we heard in the last season with the mans saying that Natalia betrayed them. She's tweaking a so-called bishop, and he is not an ordained bishop. He just started naming himself bishop. Like Bishop from Juice. Yeah. Bishop from Juice. That's the vibes that he gives me. He's Bishop from Juice. All right. He just started naming himself Bishop. But with that being said, he said she's tweaking. And I said, okay, Bishop, talking about she tweaking. You sound like you from the streets. And he was like, we're done with her, as well as his freaking wife of his saying the same thing. Okay. And so they're talking to the producers of the show. And so they're like, look, we thought this was going to be a happy ending. And then we hear this, and now we're back to square one. Like, what the hell is going on? So what we find out is that Natalia and the man's family have moved to Tennessee. Now, interesting enough, why they moved to Tennessee. Now, this is going to be all my opinion. Everything is alleged, but also just all my opinion. Indiana, it's not like it's expensive to live there, okay? It's not like they were living in a major area like California, LA, San Francisco, Oakland, New York City, where you literally, to get a decent house with all of those foster kids, you gonna have to spend a pretty dollar. Indiana, any part of Indiana, for the most part, you can get you a decent sized house. So in my opinion, them moving all the way to Tennessee, maybe they're running from something. Okay. See, what was actually said in this does not shock me, because anybody who really is from the hood or know people from the hood or know people that you be like, why are you adopting all of these foster kids, or why do you have all of these foster kids? A lot of the times you have to understand that a lot of that has to do with money, not because they really want to raise those kids. Not everybody, but you got a good amount of them. Hell, I got some in my family. You trying to have these foster kids, but the kids that actually came out of your poom poom, they ended up being shit. So what are you really trying to have foster kids for? You just gonna create another cycle because, again, you don't want to work. So with that being said, what happens is we start to all of a sudden uncover that there are people who have had their opinions about the man's family for a very long time. That also includes the Barnett fool from the last 2 seasons and his attorney. So we see his attorney saying that they had spoke to several people. I think he said about 30 people, and saying that the mans are scammers, allegedly, swifters, hustlers, whatever the case may be. Now, interesting enough, though, what I find interesting is, did we hear any of this in the last 2 seasons, you guys? So I don't remember them giving an actual opposite of, or even the attorney or Michael Barnett, I believe his name was Michael Barnett. I don't remember anybody saying anything about the mans. Okay. But now all of a sudden that there's issues there, now everybody want to start talking. You got people from previous churches who are now talking. You have a guy who claims that he actually rented out a home to them and it was roach infested, bed bug infested, that they were just nasty, horrible parents, and he can't think of anybody worse. The Barnetts ain't even worse than the mans. So I'm like, well, damn. So y'all knew this all along and just let Natalia be in another situation where she's not really loved and cared for. She's being used, you know what I'm saying, or treated like crap. So that kind of made me side out of the situation, because I said, when does someone stand up and scream to the mountaintops, and even if it's an unpopular opinion, you simply do it because there's a child involved? But again, as the attorney to Michael Barnett, I guess his whole thing was, I just need to make sure that my guy gets off. Doesn't matter what Natalia go through. It is what it is. So again, she's not really being protected. No one is protecting her. So after they say they done with her, they call production again and say, oh, well, I hear y'all down here. Well, everything is fine now. Natalia came to her senses, and, she's going to stay home. She's happy. She's going to stay home. But we could definitely, we can interview. And I tell you, this was the most awkward freaking situation. And I was like, I'm watching Get Out. I'm watching Get Out, the Natalia version. Natalia looked so uncomfortable. He was talking about, I didn't know who my child was, and this guy is manipulating her and doing this and doing that. And, this freaking psycho Cynthia talking about some, I've seen, spirits jump on, people from people to people. And I saw my child, a spirit jumped on her. No, bitch, you got all of them demon spirits in you. You and your freaking sorry ass husband. I told y'all the last season, if I'm not mistaken, when Natalia finally sat down with her former adopted father, and before they even went in, he was up there talking about some, God is in control. The devil is a lie, and doing all of that stuff. And even when they was in the interview and talking, he was stopping it. I could have sworn I said, when people do that, y'all, you got to watch out for them. And also, he's making it about him. Yeah. Well, we see why now. We see why. It looked like she was about to snap. Yeah. Yeah. So, and then they're like, well, at this point, we got to protect you. You can't have no internet. You can't have no phone. And I'm like, she's grown. She's a freaking adult. And then was like, well, you can't leave. Like, we have to protect you at all costs. What if, you know what I'm saying? Like, you move and you know what I'm saying? Like, you end up starting a fire because you fall on the stove, or, what about this? Or who's going to do your grocery shopping for you? Mind you, this girl was on her own even before she was 10 years old. And she was in apartments that were actually made for normal size adults. And even in her adolescence, she didn't start no fires. Now, I know that at one point we did see that she did fall. She had like scars on her face. But the fact that they was doing all of that, I said, oh, hell no. Hell no. And as soon as all of this was going down, I was like, they got her damn money. Because let's be clear in this situation. All of those kids, I believe they probably are getting SSI money from them, which is why they constantly have multiple kids. Hey, Daisy, which is why they have multiple kids. Interesting enough, though, they don't have any kids of their own. Make sure you hit the like button on the way in. Interesting enough, they don't have any kids of their own. It could be she can't bear kids. It's possible. But again, if people are about hustling and busting from the get-go, and they really trying to come up with a scheme to not work and be able to work off of the system, it could be because that's been their plan from the beginning, is to take care of foster kids. And he try to say, I'm dedicating my life to kids like you. It's just another way for them to make money. You see what I'm saying? So literally at that point, I said, they got her money. And so then we find out Dr. Phil, apparently, allegedly, she was paid $300,000. She getting SSI checks. She's made guest appearances other places. Natalia has not seen any of that money. But all of a sudden, when that money did come, they moved to Tennessee and buy a house. Where'd they get that money from? I don't think you can buy a house with SSI money. SSI is welfare type of money. So you can't use that type of money to buy a home. Usually, we ain't got to that point. Don't go that far. Bring it back. Bring it back. Don't go that far. We going step by step. So with that, everybody was like, where'd that money come from? Well, Natalia. And interesting enough, that house ain't in her name, and allegedly her name ain't even on the deed. She is their cash cow. And so while Natalia is talking, you could tell she's just saying whatever to get this over with. And so the production asked her about the DePauls. And she said, DePauls, yeah, you know, I could tell that they really loved me. And the father is the fake father. Antoine is like, well, she's where God wants her to be. I don't know what God you serving her, but it ain't the real God. I say your God that you call God is the devil, lowercase g. Well, she's where you know what I'm saying, God wants her to be, or whatever the case may be. And so then we see a text message later on that they're mad that they mentioned the DePauls. Well, then we see Nicole DePaul, which is an angel on earth, her and her family, if you ask me. And she's saying that the mans have not allowed her to even speak to Nicole. They haven't allowed her to speak to him. And I mean, to speak to her. To speak to Natalia, I'm sorry. So they're like, the mans won't allow me to speak to her. I don't know what's going on. But then all of a sudden she says she gets a message from this guy named Neil. Now they're not showing Neil's face. I am hoping to God Neil is legit. Let's be clear. You can still have somewhat be good, but still have bad intentions. Okay. But I am hoping that that is the case. He is from the UK. He was able to contact Nicole, tell Nicole that she is in a dangerous situation. She's in a bad situation and she needs to get out, and he's reaching out. And so at that point, Nicole, being not only a little person herself, her whole family are little people. She's always wanted to adopt Natalia since 2009, and she just felt like this is her way to be able to protect that girl, finally come to a place where she is truly loved and supported no matter what. And baby, they create a plan to get her out. That's when you know you truly want the best for someone, that you like, I'm about to drive down. Mind you, they live in upstate New York. I'm about to drive down from upstate New York, get a driver, and literally we're going to form a plan where they're speaking to Natalia. Natalia's saying she's going to go to the bathroom. And at that point, that will be the time that they can scoop her up and get her up out of there. And that's what they do. And I said, baby, that's love. Baby, that is love. You could tell that Nicole always had it in her heart that that was kind of her child that she could never have. And so at that point they go, they hide out at the church in this van, and they thought they missed her, but what happened was they ended up getting there late. And so they see Natalia. And so at that point, Nicole's daughter, I forgot that baby's name, I think starts with an M. She ends up going in there, getting Natalia. Natalia gets in the car really quick and they drive off. Now, as soon as she gets in the car, she says, my mom and dad are about to be mad at me. And that's when I said, this girl is truly, the manipulation is real. However, I also felt this is also a 20-year-old girl who probably wanted all of this done just so she could talk to her boo, her Neil. And we not gonna pretend like we didn't have them freaking moments. I know I did growing up. Shit, I ain't gonna lie. When you want restriction, or you know what I'm saying, like the guy that you talking to, your parents don't really like, your mama don't really like, your dad don't really like, and so you end up going to an auntie's house. You go to a house where you could be more freely talking to that guy. Yeah, I think that was that moment for Natalia. I don't know to a certain extent if she was really in that mindset at that time that she was going to leave and never go back to the man's family ever. As much as she claimed she wanted to, I think that was more so, I want to get away for a couple of weeks so I can talk to my man. That's what I was gathering from it, especially after the things that happened after that. I was like, yeah, I think this was her moment. She wanted to talk to her boo. And so when they're in the car, Nicole gives us the spiel about how when Cynthia's calling her left and right, because she sends them a text message saying, I'm with the DePaul, sorry, love you, but I gotta go. Cynthia keeps calling Natalia, but one of the first freaking text messages this freaking scallywag sends to Natalia is, am I still gonna be your rep payee on your SSI? This demon says that in a text message. Now, the money is supposed to be for the actual beneficiary. That is supposed to be for, it's supposed to be for that person. So if she's not with you, how do you know what she needs? How do you know what she needs? And to me, for Natalia to say, yeah, you can stay my payee, you can keep the money, there's two things. It could be like, you guys, they were saying that she's so brainwashed and she's so used to abuse that she felt like that at least their form of abuse, it felt better, I guess, than the Barnetts. I don't know, but I feel like also maybe she felt like she could buy her way out by doing that. But she may not have known that, but Cynthia damn sure had to know that that's straight up fraud. It's fraud. And so my thing is this. I don't know what's going on in our system, but apparently these two have been in the system so many times and being reported various times, and yet nothing was done. And I'm a little confused. And I am hoping that this actual freaking series, either they're finally going to get their just due by the system, or their reputation now is so tarnished that nothing can be done. But honestly, because they were able to take all of those kids to Tennessee, and I'm going to assume all of those kids was from Indiana at this point, I don't know if they technically adopted all of them or they're still in the foster care system. Because if I'm not mistaken, well, let me take that back. So SSI That's kind of like welfare, so they could get medical through the state or whatever that they're in, right? But if they're still foster care and they're under the system, don't they get more money plus the SSI? Like, I don't know. You know what? They probably did adopt them, because if they adopted them, they have more control over them and they're just probably getting the benefits besides SSI. They damn sure got 10 kids. I want to know how much them SSI checks are in Tennessee. I want to know. Now, based on what we heard, Natalia at one point was getting 700. Now she getting 800. Let's just say if all of those kids, because like I said, they got multiple kids. I feel like I done counted 10 before. Let's say they got 10 kids, 800 per kid. Per kid. They making more money than a lot of Americans who work every damn day. Simply because they got those kids in their household. Now, we find out, of course, he's not an ordained bishop. He just decided to give him that name. He decided that. Apparently, you can't even call him anything else but bishop, even though his name is Antoine. I'll tell you what I call you when I see you, bitch. That's what I would call you. But yeah, so, all of this stuff though, but it still makes me upset though that no one wanted to say anything until finally Natalia started having issues. I am so upset that no one was really coming forward and saying, like, even the attorney last year, even the Barnett guy last year could have said, even to production, this man is not who he is. While he talking about me, this man has X, Y, and Z. No one said anything. And this is why I say there are so many people out there who will be all about their self-interest, even if there is a child involved that is dealing with a lot of abuse. And that's effed up. So with that, they pick her up. But when they get to upstate New York, Natalia is almost, it seems like it's like a manipulation thing that she's manipulating. Oh, see, look, there you go. That poor child had a life manipulation, abuse, and financial abuse child, this poor kid. Right. To the point where, honestly, two things can happen in that situation. She don't necessarily know that she's going through that to a certain extent. Or also people who sometimes go through that type of manipulation and that type of trauma, they end up kind of being like the people that they've been around. Because in my opinion, there was certain forms of manipulation with Natalia in this series based off of what they showed us. Again, editing is one hell of a drug. But did y'all kind of feel the manipulation part? Like the fact that, she would talk mess, of course, about the mans in front of the right people. But when she was in front of the camera, she would say something else. But then when Nicole would confront her in front of the camera, okay, about the situation and what, I'm saying, she was saying 1 minute, the next minute she wasn't. The way she stared at freaking Nicole, like she looked like she was about to snap on her. And I was like, hold the hell up now. Like, because even Nicole and Vince said, we're going into the situation in the unknown. We've heard the stories. We've heard that she has another side to her. We've heard the stories of the things that she's tried to do. We don't necessarily know if it's true or not. So we're going into the situation not knowing if it's true. And if it is true, we're effed because she's in our house. But the reality is she kind of came off like a manipulator. But again, that also probably comes from the fact that she was brainwashed. Even in being abused, she felt like they were in the right, because even when Nicole called and spoke to Cynthia and was checking her, especially about the surgeries and stuff like that, you heard Natalia in the background saying, my parents do care. They do love me. And I was just like, who, child? Child, this is draining as hell. Like, I don't know about y'all, but I was watching it wanting to scream at the damn TV. And I was like, ooh, this is a lot to deal with. And God bless Nicole and Vince, God bless them, because that took a lot, to the point where it was so much turmoil and chaos in their own house. It divided the family. Nicole was trying to do everything she could to save Natalia, but in the process, her and her husband was getting into it, and even her only child, as close as they were, she started keeping her distance, and was like, as much as I saw Natalia as a big sister, she is truly creating division. And I felt so bad, because you can have people like that, because you could tell that Nicole is just such a motherly person, and she has always wondered what it was like if what it would be like if Natalia would have been adopted by her. Like she said, Natalia apparently only has a first grade reading level, but her daughter is now in one of the best engineering schools in the country. And I think she's always had in the back of her mind, like, if I had her, would her life be different? But in the process of that, trying to save her, she lost herself, and she lost her family. In the process, Natalia still didn't have an ID. She didn't have her naturalization certificate. She had nothing. She was pretty much a prisoner in the man's house. She was. And so with that, it got to the point where they didn't even care if Natalia was leaving, and Natalia claimed she wanted to leave because of the back and forth. Nicole was trying to tell the mans that Natalia needs surgery. She's always complaining about her back. She's talking about her back hurt, her legs hurt, and if she's not careful, she's going to be paralyzed. They was like, my child ain't getting that surgery. And they was like, why not? Like, we have the same dwarfism. Like, why not? We told you to go to the best doctors, or whatever the case may be. They claim, I guess they was trying to say it was because of the risk, and they didn't want to lose her. If you ask me, they don't want to spend the money. Now, I don't know how much the state or the county would pay for something like that, because she is disabled. But something tells me it would take a little bit more than what the county and state could really do. And that's why they didn't want to do it. And then Cynthia had the nerve to say, Jesus will fix her. The Jesus I serve is a miracle maker. Well, if you was truly praying to the Jesus that I know, and you've been her mama for 10, 11 years, where your prayers at? Because it ain't working, because you ain't praying to Jesus. You praying to the devil. So with that being said, I'm like, look, let me tell you something. I'm a firm believer in Jesus. I'm a firm believer. But I also know that he created doctors for a reason. He created doctors for a reason. And the reality is, you still need to go to the doctor. Period. So honestly, when they was talking all of that, I said, oh no. See, this is given definitely, I'm going to do the God-fearing stuff, or use God, because again, God doesn't give you the spirit of fear. And let me tell y'all something. For those who are listening, who actually, one thing that I've taught myself, because I've had people who try to manipulate me with that Bible in my own family, you better know that Bible. And if it ain't in the Bible, don't listen to them fools. That's the way I say it. When they try to manipulate you with that Bible, because a lot of times people expect for you not to know the Bible, so therefore they try to manipulate you with the Bible. You better know the word yourself. And I think if Natalia would have sat up there and really got into that word and knew the word herself, she would have been like, these people are not really Christians. They're just not. Let me see what you guys are saying. Go, Daisy girl, you better than me. Getting my workout in. Oh, getting your workout in. Love that, love that, love that. Let me see. I just said, does she know which Christ she praying to? Jesus Christ or the anti? You better say that. You better say that, Yuli. You better say it, because it ain't no way. There is no way. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So with that, Nicole was just like, whatever. But at that point, you see Natalia acting like she don't want to hear this. She don't want to deal with it. So she says she's leaving the DePaul's house. Okay. Mind you, we have seen videos at this point of a little boy, and the father of that little boy explained that the mans are evil people. And the little boy explains what he went through dealing with the mans. Interesting enough, I mean, what Natalia went through from the Barnetts to the mans, she just went from they pretty much were similar. It was just that one was able to hide their sins more with their money versus the mans who ain't got no money. The only money that they have is, I guess, through these kids. And the audacity of her, when she had that meeting with Natalia and Antoine, she said, Neil, maybe because he realized we got a little bit of money. You ain't got a little bit of shit. That's Natalia's money. You ain't got nothing. Without her, you would be a piece of shit, still struggling, trying to take care of them kids off of SSI checks. What do you talk about? We got a little bit of money. Ain't no we in it. That's Natalia's money. So at that point, Neil talks some sense into Natalia, though, and tells her, you are crazy as hell if you think you about to go back to the freaking mans. Like, are you insane? So she went from saying that she was going to leave the DePaul house to coming out and saying, oh, no, I changed my mind. I'm going to stay. So Natalia keeps defending them in front of the camera, but then ends up talking shit about them behind the cameras when she doesn't realize that there's cameras on her. And Nicole says she had to start putting those cameras up because she felt like she was being spied on in her own house. At one point, she even felt like Natalia was recording her to try to manipulate situations to take it back to the man. She felt like the man's was controlling Natalia in her own house. She didn't know who really Natalia was and what Natalia was capable of. And mind you, in those type of situations, that's scary because one thing about it, the Pauls have everything to lose. The mans had nothing to lose. Okay? Nothing to lose. But the Pauls had everything to lose. They had their own house. They had their own house specially made for them. That takes money. Their whole house is for a little person. That takes money because all that has to be specialized. So it finally turns, though. And it finally turns when finally Vince becomes Natalia's SSI payee. And at that point, they have control of the finances. But remember, they were talking about how she was getting appearances and making money from the Dr. Phil show and other places. She was getting money because, of course, after this series, she was able to get, interviews. Well, again, SSI is welfare. It's like a welfare. Any money that comes in, you would have to report. So $300,000, if not more, you technically wouldn't be qualified for that government payment for a little while. But again, the man thinking they slick and can beat the system, put that money into their bank account. And because she's an adult, okay, well, that's their money. Ain't got nothing to do with Natalia. But the reality is Natalia was stuck with paying the taxes because they put that in Natalia's name and she had to sign like a W-2 or a W-9, not a W-2, I'm sorry, a W-9 on it. She had to sign off on it So she's stuck with the taxes. Again, we're just talking about Dr. Phil. Allegedly, she got 300,000 off of Dr. Phil alone. There are so many people in this freaking US of A that don't even make $300,000 in a year, let alone $100,000. She got a lump sum of $300,000. That didn't even include any other guest appearances she had where she was able to make some money. No taxes paid on it. Now she's stuck with the tax bill. So Vince and Nicole trying to help her out. And they trying to help her out. And like, we need to figure out what's going on and who's going to pay this tax bill. So they call the demons, the mans. And it's like, from my understanding, Natalia said y'all was going to pay for the tax bill. We didn't say we was paying all of it. We said we was going to pay some of it. And so Nicole is like, do you think that is fair that she got to pay anything on it when she didn't get a dime of it? Click. Cynthia hangs up on her. Yeah. So that's when the tables turn. When Natalia realized she was about to be stuck with this tax bill for money she never saw and potentially could lose her SSI for all of that money she never saw. Now, unfortunately, we don't have an update, it seems like, yet on what happened with that tax bill and the SSI. I hate that this is the final chapter. I am hoping that Natalia does another interview where we can get an update on this, because I am so curious to know exactly what is going to happen. And if she, and I want to say, though, they did say that she did keep her SSI, but I don't know how long that could possibly last. I'm hoping that DePauls or someone from, like production or someone really got an attorney involved for her to really sort this out. Because, baby, everything they accusing the mans of is there is fraud all over the place. Fraud, like, this is some federal shit. Okay. And so far, they claim they haven't been arrested. There hasn't been, you know what I'm saying, like any so-called repercussions for what they've done, which in all honesty, that's another thing that truly has me really in my emotions. What the Barnetts did to her, is that what them sorry asses name was? The last name was Barnett, right, y'all? Barnett, right? What the Barnetts did to her, they never received any consequences for it. And here it is, the mans now, and they don't have any consequences for it. I figured they were. Hey, Candace, I figured they were. Now, mind you, this all happened in 2024. I'm really hoping, because one thing about the feds, as we know clearly with the Diddy situation, they're very calculated. And they take their time to build their case. And when they get you, they get you. Now, Lord Jesus, I am hoping it don't take 30 years like this Diddy situation, because they should have a good enough paper trail on proof with checking accounts and savings and, things like that. And, the SSI and moving and the different. I hope this happens very soon. I really do. And I hope, if anything, that house ends up becoming Natalia's house, and which at that point she can sell it and she can keep it moving. Because one thing about it is that one thing Nicole said, that $300,000+ could have went towards her surgery. You know what else it could have went towards? She could have got a home built from scratch in a place like a Tennessee, or a place that's cheaper, or wherever she want to stay, or at least that could have helped her start off with a home that was specialized for her. Like honestly, and they're only mentioning the 300,000 because that's what they're saying what they know of. Natalia has been out there so much. I don't know if anybody really knows how much money that girl was bringing in. It could be way more than that. That's the crazy part. And so once she realizes that they trying to give her this bill, that's when things shift for her. Not the videos that she refused to see, but I guess she didn't need to see the videos because she already knew what she went through with them, because there is a couple in here that, oh my gosh, the black lady, she truly reminded me of that freaking lady in Get Out. That was the maid. No, 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 no. Cynthia Mans is my best friend. She gonna always be my best friend. I love her. I love her. She my best friend. No, 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 no. You can't say nothing bad about her. Can't say nothing bad. That's what she was giving me. Oh, that's what she was giving me. But then on the phone, she was pretty much saying that she was an evil bitch. But on camera, she was saying something totally different and she started crying. Well, come to find out, her ex-husband said the reason why is because their kids is still with the man's. And the thing is that this lady kept saying, I did what was best for my kids. I couldn't handle my kids. I did what was best for my kids. That's the excuse that she keeps giving as to why the mans have her kids. Baby, I need the real story on that. I need the real story on that. Now that the producers need to investigate that situation even more. She keep repeating herself like she is a broken record and someone told her to say that and constantly say that or else. Child, I need to know what's up with that. But even with all of those stories, now one thing I will say is when there was a scene where production heard Cynthia saying, y'all get in here now, or I'm gonna get my belt, and they were trying to say that as that was a sign of abuse. Y'all know dang on well, for those who, I'm saying, grew up in no nonsense households. When I heard that, I said, child, that sound like my mama. Like that situation, I'm like, that's not really a sign of what you guys are describing. That sound like you better get your butt in here now, or you better listen to what I say, or I'm gonna get my belt. So when they used that, I was like, no, that's not the same thing. Like, that's not the same thing. But we heard enough to know that clearly there was something else going on in the household. But Natalia didn't want to hear it. But as soon as that money situation came about, and again, it could be that, she's gone through so much of the physical part of it that she just was trying to tune it out. But as soon as she realized that that tax bill was about to come to her and she was about to lose her SSI, and interesting enough, I do wonder, and y'all let me know, if Neil wasn't in her life and she wasn't trying to get to see Neil and she needed the money and the means and to be able to get her passport and the things that she needed that money to be able to go see him. If Neil wasn't in her life, would she have cared about this as much? Like, I feel like when she realized that her SSI was about to be cut and she needed that for her passport and everything else to go see that man, that's when she cared. I don't know. I'm wondering if she would have really woken up quicker without Neil and having a financial goal of things that she wanted to do financially to go see that man. Because she ends up seeing him. He's in the UK. She ends up going by herself to the UK. And I love the fact that Nicole was like, she grown. If she want to go live in a warehouse, she can do what she want to do. And she helped her get her naturalization certificate, her exact age, got her passport. And Miss Thing went to the UK by herself. By herself. On her own. And so once that happened, though, that's when she really woke up and realized. And interesting enough, when she confronted Cynthia about the tax bill and how they pretty much was saying, yeah, well, we ain't helping you with the tax bill. Do you know this freaking heifer tells Natalia, well, maybe this is a sign from God that you do need to move to the UK now. Oh no. But before she had to stay put, she ain't going nowhere. That's a dangerous man. We your parents. We don't know what he's about to do to you. But now that this is a situation where she talking about you need to pay these taxes or you need to give me my money or whatever the case may be, well, maybe this is the sign for you to move to the UK. Trifling, evil, twisted. Baby, their day is coming. Oh, it's coming. So, with that being said, at that point, they help her, and Natalia realizes, which I absolutely love, that she is in a better situation. The DePauls don't need her for anything. They are just there to nurture her and love her and to help her along the way. They good. And I think she realizes that, but I think she genuinely knew from the get-go, which is why she said in the beginning, she said to the Paul, she said, you could tell that they loved me. She knew it, she felt it, which is interesting. She clearly knew and felt what genuine love was. Excuse me. She knew what that was. So I don't know if, hold on, y'all. Lost my voice. Okay, I'm back. Sorry, y'all. The smoke and the wind out here. Whew, talking too much, and it's nighttime. Anywho, so I don't know if she was scared to be on her own and be put out and didn't have anyone. It's interesting that she couldn't get a hold of the DePauls. I don't know. Like, she was able to even get a hold of the DePauls when she was living by herself when she was 10 years old. So maybe taking her phone, she didn't have it by memory, but I don't know. I feel like there was no way for her to get a hold of the DePauls earlier and say, get me the hell up out of here. I don't know, y'all. What do y'all think about that? What do y'all think about that? Because to me, I don't know. Like, did it really take Neil? Or I don't know, y'all. And again, maybe because I haven't been in these type of trauma-like situations. Remember, she was still in touch with the DePauls when she was living by herself. Because I remember when I want to say she showed a picture of her to the DePauls, or she sent it to them, and her face was like bruised, and it was like you could tell that she failed. That's what Nicole said. So I don't know. It really makes me wonder, and maybe she was just so used to being abused, she just normalized it until Neil told her something ain't right here, and because she wanted to be with him so badly, she was willing to wake up and realize that because she couldn't talk to the love of her life, which, by the way, child, one thing that really catch me, like, I was like, who, child? Nicole said, honey, that good old Natalia was having freaky tales via the phone, honey. She said she was walking down the hallway, and even sometimes she heard it, I think, in her room, all of the sounds and stuff that was going on in Natalia's room. And she even, this just shows you how much of a cool mom she is, I guess. Instead of her saying, girl, you're gonna have to be quiet, like you ain't even supposed to be trying to do that in my house, because we got parents that be like, oh hell no, you ain't doing that up in my house. Child, she soundproofed the door. She soundproofed Natalia's door so she couldn't hopefully hear her, you know what I'm saying, get her freak on via the phone. But then she had text messages telling Natalia, like, do you think you could keep it down? Girl, I hear you in my room. That part was hilarious as hell. I was like, oh my gosh, hilarious, but at the same time shows you how understanding Nicole was, and she was really trying to support her in any way. Because Lord knows, let me tell you something, even at my big age, I ain't doing that in my parents' house. Especially people who are old enough to be my parents. Absolutely not. But yeah, but that part was definitely a funny moment in the whole entire documentary. But with that being said, once she realizes that she needs to be done with the man's, all of a sudden, it's almost like her life blossoms at that point. And she ends up getting a call from People Magazine. And now she's in People Magazine. I'm hoping People Magazine paid her straight up. I'm hoping they paid her. And so Natalia's being interviewed by People Magazine. I don't know. Is the People Magazine out yet? She looks so beautiful. She looks so cute in this picture. Um, have you guys seen a People Magazine? Because I'm trying to figure out if it's out yet. I would like to actually get it just to support, even though I don't get magazines no more. Oh, yeah, it's here. It's an exclusive. So yeah. So it's out there, you guys, if you guys want to check it out. But yeah, so she has an exclusive. I low-key really want to know if she still has a first grade reading level. Like, how are they going to help her be able to live on her own? Like, so then that way she can have some type of career. But honestly, Natalia, honey, if you listening, and I am sure people have told her this, baby, she got to get somebody she can trust though. And I hope that would be Nicole. She need to write books. Write books, movies, TV shows, her stories with those two psycho families. Baby, she'll make millions. She really would. Like, at the end of the day, that girl has been through hell and back, but her stories that she could tell, oh my gosh. I know even if she just want to do books, I'll buy them. I will buy them. Do you hear me? I would definitely buy them. I am hoping that that is the route that people are going out. I don't know if Natalia has a social media page. I tried to look to see if she had her own social media page, not one controlled by the man's or the man's family BS that I found. I hope she creates her own page. She really will have a huge following. And just off of the strength of her story alone, I'm telling you, she will make millions. Natalia will make probably so much money, she could have multiple houses, including one in the UK, if Neil is the one for her. I don't know. He seems like a good guy, but at the same time, I don't know, you guys. I don't know. I'm really hoping that Neil is genuinely there for the right reasons. I really do. Because it seems like definitely the Pauls are there. They're genuinely there for her. They really are. So I am hoping that Neil is that's definitely the case. I don't want her to move to the UK though. I don't know. Like, I feel like she still needs to, with everything that she's been through, she still needs to be within driving distance, maybe, or a short plane ride back to the DePauls. I don't know. At least until, what I'm saying, she is emotionally and mentally ready to truly spread her wings and fly. I don't think she's healed. I think that she's in the process of starting the healing process, but she is not absolutely healed at all. And I think that the pause could truly help her with that, especially even though Natalia is older than Mackenzie. Oh yeah, her name was Mackenzie, which is Nicole's daughter. Natalia is older than Mackenzie, but Mackenzie is much more developed as far as the worldly stuff and the social skills. She's more developed than Natalia. Mackenzie needs to be there for Natalia. Natalia, because you could tell Natalia, she definitely probably is socially awkward. The only social scene she knows is being in the man's family or isolated in her own apartment. and trying to socialize with freaking neighbors that were, pushing her off. She's probably a very socially awkward girl. And I think Mackenzie can really help blossom her into a young adult. On top of the fact that she needs to get all of the education she needs as much as she can to really at least get her to the high school level where she can get her GED or her diploma. But with that being said, you guys, that is my review on everything. I definitely, like I said, I had a lot of emotions, especially, oh my gosh, when they was trying to get Natalia from the church and get her in the car. I don't know about y'all, but I was on pins and needles on the edge of my couch, like, oh my gosh, like if y'all don't get her, like I was feeling so anxious, like, are they gonna do it? Are they gonna do it? Like, oh my gosh, they're not gonna be able to get her. I felt that moment like I was watching a thriller. So I had a lot of different emotions, and I had a lot of emotions for Nicole. Like I felt so bad for Nicole because I do feel like there were certain moments that Natalia was manipulating her. And, there was often times where she even questioned, like, was I just used? And I can understand why she felt that way. Because we're not going to pretend that people who go through those type of abusive situations end up kind of becoming what abused them. And that's, to me, there were certain parts that kind of showed that, where I was like, Natalia, are you becoming what you despise? Are you becoming what has been really taking advantage of you all of this time? Because that's all she knows. She never knew genuine love on a consistent basis. She's always just had people using her for their selfish reasons. So it's not hard to believe that she can end up becoming that way, because that's all she knew. But I need more. I understand they're saying this is the final chapter for this production and they're about to do a Curious Case of other people, but I need more. Somebody pick up Natalia and this family and do a reality show. Yes, that's what I need too. I need a reality show. She can be, you know what I'm saying? Who was the ones that constantly had these reality shows constantly? What's the Honey Boo Boo girl? Now, she ain't no Honey Boo Boo. I ain't never seen that show, but I'm just saying the fact that they have season after season after season. That's what I need from Natalia. That's what I need from her. Only though if it's not gonna hurt her in any way. That's only if it doesn't hurt her. Now, of course, sometimes people can't handle reality TV. So if she can't handle it, then totally. But if she's willing to do it and it really helps her and it develops her, and it heals her, I'm all for it. I am all for it. And she can make a pretty good coin off of that. But with that being said, you guys, I would love to know what your opinion is on this last season. I think production did a great job. I am hoping that with everything that they did and the people that they spoke to about the mans, that, like Candace said, this federal investigation is going to be nice and lovely and wrapped in a little bow, and they will get a conviction. Now, I don't wish jail on anyone, but I also don't like when people do evil deeds and then try to mask it as it's God's deeds. Heck no. That in itself, you get what you deserve and you reap what you sow. And these are some evil people trying to mask it and say it's God's will. Absolutely not. God ain't about the spirit of confusion, chaos, manipulation. That ain't nothing but the devil. So with that being said, I am hoping we find out some amazing information about them. And I really hope whatever and all that they took from her, I'm sure she's not going to be able to get the actual cash back because I'm sure there's nothing there. But that house in Tennessee and anything else they bought with her money is officially hers. So with that, I appreciate y'all for coming. Let's continue the conversation below. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you on my next video. Toodles.